All right, the beginning of this run is really fantastic. As far as volume, I try and do my volume the same whether I'm in practice or in trials. You'll notice that a lot of people do it differently, right? They're either very loud in practice, then they're more embarrassed at the actual trial and they run a little more quietly. Some people are the opposite, right? They're a little more quiet and relaxed in practice, and then they get a little frantic and they tend to scream at their dogs a little bit in trials. You know, I don't think either way is right or wrong. It's personal preference, but I try and make it the same in both places. And because there are going to be trials that are multiple ring, loud announcing over the speakers, and other barking dogs and a lot of background noise, I know that there are going to be times when I want to be loud. So by default, even if the ring is very quiet, I'm going to be very loud, right? So those are my thoughts. This is the perfect laterally performed front cross. You can see that instead of being right here next to the dog, you're able to do it from a distance and get the same turn and understanding from the dog. Beautiful 4 steps, right, right, power step. Gorgeous work here. Beautiful placement of this front cross on this diagonal line. A lot of people go too deep and do the front cross over here across the face of the jump. Again, doing it laterally, that's perfect. Now here's a really tough spot. This turn is not quite a flush jump, but if we give wings to this jump over here, you can see that this line almost touches, right? So this, I can tell from the map and the setup, this is a pretty tight turn. So this takeoff is maybe a little too far away depending on what comes after the wingless jump. So what I'm saying is here I might come and then stop entirely. So here you're slowing down and you're stopped, okay? But it's less about the you going slow and taking a bunch of baby steps. In my mind, that still accelerates the dog. What we really need is you slowing down and then coming to a dead stop. So let's just zoom in here on your feet. Okay, I agree that we've slowed down, so you might think that you've decelled, right? So you've finished your decel, but now look, you're stepping forward, 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 forward again, forward. The dog's in the air, and you're still moving forward and going through, right? So this tells the dog, hey, it's okay to extend. We are not doing a wrap. We are not doing a tight jump here. So as long as you're aware that you're doing that, I think it's okay. Here, I would be more likely to stop to try and get a better turn. Okay, but that turn is not, it's not terrible. And because it's a pinwheel, going long here is a little bit of an advantage. So I don't think you actually lose any time. This is all good. I think you were concerned about, no, you just said the contacts were nice and you marked them. I'm not a huge fan of the push here. I think here, instead of racing to try and get around here and slowing the dog up, if you're going to be ahead and behind where you are now, I like to turn into the dog as the dog is going over, putting up that opposite arm, and then as the dog takes off to the air, switching to the right. That creates a right to left turn, and it's basically a serpentine. So imagine that this jump they're taking, and this table is the third jump. We're basically doing serpentine handling. And as the dog takes off for this jump, if you can be over here, that's ideal. But even if you're way back here, you want to be turned toward the dog, looking at your dog through the upright, and then straightening out. But when you come in here and you never turn toward the dog, you're just shoving directly into the dog, you risk collision, but more importantly, the dog really slows down. With time, they can learn not to trust you when you come into their line. It can create problems with rear crosses and general speed. I don't think that's really going to happen with your dog because your dog is so driven. Okay, here you have an arm coming up, this opposite arm. That doesn't do anything. So I think this is probably a little too soon of an arm. I think the dog's probably going into the tunnel here on the verbal. I don't know. Actually, the timing there might be perfect. I just question whether your dog is noticing that. Yeah, when you say here, it's right about here. Because the dog is definitely on the wrong line. So if the dog had responded to the arm in here early, the dog should have already straightened out. But the dog immediately adjusts on the landing. I don't know. Now, the more I look at it, the more I think this might be just perfect execution and timing. because any sooner than that, and you risk the dog coming off the jump and trying to go backside on the jump. I think this is just a brilliant run. Even though that spot that I was talking about was like very, very nitpicky, and you didn't lose any time there. It's just something to note and a decision that you're always making every course you do. How tight of a turn do I need with this dog really? Do I want to use a full decel? Is it okay if I do kind of a half decel, continue moving forward, knowing that the dog's going to extend a little bit? Do I really need that tight collection here? And those are kind of those gray areas that you're going to work out. But great job on this.